going on, guys? Sam Adams here, and welcome to my Microsoft E3 2016 press conference recap, where I'm pretty much going to be going down my list of notes and talking about each individual game that was discussed and hitting on some of the major highlights of the show. Now, before we get into this, the two major headlines that you've probably already heard about are that there is a new model of the Xbox One coming out known as the Xbox One S that is set to hit this coming August, and then there's also Project Scorpio, which is in development and set to release sometime in late 2017, probably around the holiday season. So if you are interested in hearing more about that, I encourage you to click this annotation, which is on this television set right here, and it will take you over to the video that I made kind of detailing those two systems and what they have to offer for those that are looking to purchase a new Xbox console. That being said, let's go ahead and jump into the rest of the show and everything that was discussed at this year's E3 2016 Microsoft press conference. So right out of the gate, we had the Xbox One S absolutely stealing the spotlight and getting people excited for the rest of the show, which I thought was a pretty good move. Now, following that was a pretty awesome feature that I wasn't really expecting, and that was Xbox Play Anywhere. Now, this is pretty much where you buy the game once on Xbox and you can play it on Windows 10 or vice versa. And it's great for people like me that have an Xbox One that like their Halos, that like their Gears, and whatnot. And you can buy that on Xbox One and be able to play it on your Windows 10 gaming PC. Or, as they mentioned in the show, if you happen to have a gaming-capable laptop that is running Windows 10, then you could potentially buy the game on Xbox One. And then whenever you went on vacation or to a business trip or to class, per se, you could actually log on and play that game on your Windows 10 laptop. And, of course, as they mentioned in the press conference, achievements and save files are both saved in the cloud, so you never have to worry about keeping your game synchronized or trying to stay in the same place in two different versions of the game. It's all synchronized within the cloud, and that's a feature that is a make or break for this kind of scenario. So they wrapped up that announcement by mentioning the fact that Xbox One players and Windows 10 players are going to be able to play with each other more and more as Xbox is trying to kind of integrate Windows into Xbox gaming, and so just to be able to tear down that wall between PC and console players as much as they possibly can from their side of things is certainly a welcome addition to the Xbox list of features, I suppose, for Xbox Live. And they also mentioned something with Minecraft that uses that same kind of technology, but we'll get into that in a minute. So the next game that was actually discussed, and this is the first gameplay that we're really seeing from the show, was Gears of War 4, and there really isn't much to say here. It showed off some of the story, and it did look great, as you can expect from the Coalition. They're going to make a quality game, a quality Gears experience. And then you saw a screenshot of old Marcus Felix, who is the original guy from Gears. He's the iconic main character that everybody knows and loves. And so it was nice to kind of see where they're taking the franchise and the kind of timeline that we can expect to see where Gears of War 4 lines up with the rest of the games from the franchise. So following that, we had the announcement of Forza Horizon 3, along with a release date of September the 22nd. And this was certainly one that blew me away, not only because it looked beautiful, but also from the technical aspect of it, where the world is going to be a lot more open, it's going to be a lot more alive, and a lot of different vehicles are going to be included in the game. It takes place in Australia, so you're seeing a lot more foliage and a lot more livelihood within the environment itself, and so it's going to be interesting to see how that game is handled with the Xbox One, but I guarantee you it is going to be one of the best looking racers to date. So next up we had Recore, which is also getting its release date this September, and it's not really the kind of gameplay that I was expecting. Obviously, we've seen a cinematic trailer, and we might have seen a little bit of gameplay here and there sprinkled in that, but we never really saw an extended kind of demo, and to be honest with you, it kind of reminds me of a third-person shooter combined with the elements that we saw in Sunset Overdrive. I'm not really sure how this one is going to work out. It looked to be a little bit janky, but there are some puzzle-solving mechanics where you have to kind of maneuver your way around the environment, and so that is definitely going to bring some interesting aspects into the gameplay, and I'm still excited to see where the game goes, even though it didn't necessarily fulfill the expectations that I did have set for it. Next up, we saw some more Final Fantasy 15, and there was a pretty impressive gameplay demo. There was a giant kind of boss fight that did look to be pretty impressive, and it even got someone like me, who is not a fan of JRPGs in the slightest, excited for the release of Final Fantasy 15, and I suppose that is what the job of the trailer and the gameplay demo from E3 is meant to do, and it is coming out on September the 30th for those that are interested. Next up, we saw some of where the Division was going to be going over the course of year one, and of course the next expansion pack that is up for release is the underground expansion, and it does look to be pretty cool, I suppose. Now, The Division is a kind of slippery slope whenever it comes to discussing it, because there are a lot of people that are passionate about the game, and then there are a lot of people that are a little bit salty about it because it was predicted to be one of the biggest releases of 2016. Even I believe I said that at one point because the game did look so impressive, the world was so alive, but whenever you sat down and really began to explore, you realized that it was literally just a giant grind fest. There really wasn't that much of a livelihood to the world as you first thought that there was, and so eventually the game just kind of died down. And in fact, reports were released last week that at least on PC, 93% of the original player base is now gone, so it's going to be interesting to see if this DLC can revive some of those players and bring back some people into the world of The Division. And then after that, they kind of talked about the next expansion pack, which I believe is called Survival, and that doesn't have a definitive release date, but it is going to be coming out somewhere in the year 1, I would guess late 2016, early 2017 for those that are interested. So next up, we saw some Battlefield 1 talk, and it's really nothing to write home about because it was literally the exact same trailer that was shown at EA's Play event that happened on Sunday night, so there really isn't that much to talk about. However, for those that have EA access, you are getting access to Battlefield 1, the entire game, multiplayer and all, on October the 13th, so lucky you. For those that have EA access, you get to play it a little bit early. Then a lot of updates were detailed for Xbox Live, and I'm just going to kind of go down the list. So number 1, you've got background music, which is awesome. Number 2, language region independence, to where you can choose the language that your user interface is in. I'm not really sure why that wasn't a feature to begin with. That just seems kind of to lock the player in depending on where they are in the world. That doesn't seem right. Then you have Cortana coming to the Xbox One, which is certainly a welcome feature for a lot of people, especially since you don't have to have a Kinect to use it. You can actually use any kind of headset that you want. Then there are clubs on Xbox Live, which is pretty much where you can find communities that love the games and the subjects that you do and connect with them and make friends over the service. So that's a pretty good addition to Xbox Live, I would say. It's always hard to find groups of friends that are into the same kind of games that you are if you happen to be kind of I don't want to say abnormal, but that you don't like the same kind of games that your friends tend to like. You can definitely find some people on Xbox Live that have the same kind of interest and link up in-game. Then there is Looking for Group, which is pretty much a Craigslist board where you can post if you need help in a game, if you wanted to play some multiplayer with someone. It's pretty much a online dating for the gaming world, so to speak. If you need some people to team up in-game with, you can post here and maybe even get some replies. To be honest, I don't see that service getting used that much unless it's for a giant boss fight that people really need help with. And the last big announcement for Xbox Live was that there is going to be a new service called Arena on Xbox Live, which is a new tournament platform. And it's going to be the easiest way to discover, register, and compete in your favorite games. And integration with some of the largest EA games, specifically mentioning FIFA, is going to be coming to the Arena on Xbox Live service sometime over the course of the next couple of years. We'll just have to see how that kind of integration goes. But it's nice to see that Xbox Live is putting its faith in the esports side of the industry, or at least light esports, kind of like EA did at their event yesterday. So next up, they talked about Minecraft a good bit, and they did detail the friendly update, which allows players between all versions of Minecraft on mobile and all versions of Minecraft on the Xbox systems to play with one another. And in addition to that, there was the announcement of Minecraft Realms, which is pretty much a dedicated server that you can start up and everyone can join and build into, so you don't necessarily have to be online at the same time as someone to work on a project that you both have been working on for a very long time. So say you wanted to recreate the Lincoln Memorial, that is a popular location in the middle of Washington, D.C. here in the States. You could literally join a server, start building that. You could go offline, go to sleep, go to work, whatever, and someone could join and continue working on that. Alternatively, if you did have an untrustworthy friend, rather, they could come in and destroy that. It just depends on what kind of friends you have, but it's cool to see Minecraft Realms coming, and it seems like a feature that has been a long time in the making. So the last big announcement about Minecraft was add-ons, which pretty much allow player to change elements in the base game of Minecraft to create whatever they want. So in the game, they actually modified a zombie to create an alien, and you can also tweak the AI to make these characters and these in-game elements behave differently. So it's pretty much just putting even more creative power into the hands of the gamer when it comes to those that play Minecraft, and that does seem to be what the world itself is all about. Minecraft is about creating the world that you want to see, and it's nice to see that Xbox is just kind of throwing all their effort behind that, even so far as to initiate crossplay between mobile and Xbox versions of the game. Next, they talked about the new Xbox One controller that's going to be bundled with the Xbox One S console, and it's pretty much the same controller that we've always seen with a couple of minimal changes, including a new grip texture on the back, and you're going to be able to customize your own controller, which includes getting it engraved, or not really engraved, but your name can be put on it, or whatever really you want to have put on it. And of course, you can do over 8 million different color combinations for those that are interested in customizing your Xbox One controller experience, and you can go over to xbox.com/Xbox Design Lab to check all of that out, and maybe play around with some of the tools and options that you have. So then there was a pretty heavy focus on games. We saw Inside, I believe is what that one was called. Yes, Inside is coming to us from the creators of Limbo, and it's coming out on June the 29th on the Xbox One. Now, for those that haven't played Limbo, it's now free on the Xbox One currently, so you can check that out and see if you like their kind of art style, but it does seem like a lot of that inspiration is carrying over into the sequel or their next game that they have been making and working on for apparently a very long time, because Limbo was one of the most successful indie games, and it was one of the first indie games that I can remember ever kind of hitting the limelight, so it's going to be interesting to see how Inside lives up to that original success that Limbo did bring to the table. Then they focused a lot more on their indie titles, including one by the name of Ark Survival Evolved. You might have heard of it. It is a pretty popular game on the PC and the Xbox One, but that is coming to the Xbox Play Anywhere program this fall, meaning that if you own the Xbox version of the game, you'll be able to play it on Windows 10 for free, which is certainly a pretty cool idea and a pretty cool feature to bring to a game that is so popular with the community. Then there was a little bit of the Xbox Game Preview program featuring We Happy Few, which is a game that a lot of people have been looking forward to for a very long time, including myself. It pretty much is the idea that there is a dystopian universe and you have to take your joy, and it's pretty much just a little pill that completely makes you ignore the fact that your lives are being controlled by some kind of puppet master up above you, you know, so to speak, that kind of government-controlled conspiracy thing. But that is coming out on July the 26th, first on the console to the Xbox One, so that's certainly an exciting one to see coming to the Xbox Game Preview program and being released overall, really. So then they talked about Gwent, which is the card game from The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, and apparently that is coming to the Xbox One, along with the feature of crossplay on Windows 10. Now there's also going to be a single-player campaign, and it has a completely redesigned aesthetic that is going to be different from that which is felt in The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt itself. So that's definitely something that is interesting, and that beta is coming out this September. Following that, we got a couple of surprises. So Tekken 7 is coming in 2017 and includes a story mode that transitions seamlessly between story and gameplay. And then there was a new free copy of Tekken Tag Tournament 2, which is given out to everybody that has an Xbox Live Gold subscription right now. So go hit that one, download that. It's actually an Xbox 360 title that is backwards compatible on the Xbox One, so you can start practicing up on your Tekken fighting skills over the course of the next few months before Tekken 7 actually does hit store shelves. Dead Rising 4 has been confirmed. It was leaked earlier this week, but it is coming out in holiday 2016 and does feature Frank West from the original Dead Rising. Beyond that, not many details were given, but it still looks like Dead Rising. It still looks like it's a good time. It's not too serious, and it's certainly something I wasn't expecting to actually see at this year's press conference, because Dead Rising 3 does seem like it just came out, but I do suppose that was a launch title for the Xbox One, and then you realize just how fast the years are going by. So next up we had Scalebound, which did mention that it is getting a co-op mode, but this plays like your standard JRPG, a lot like Final Fantasy 15, that gameplay that we saw earlier in the conference as well. But this one is coming to the Xbox One as well as Windows 10, and the gameplay showed off one of the largest boss fights that Platinum Games has ever worked on. And like I said, it does seem to be your kind of JRPG style game with a different kind of aesthetic to it, so you might want to check out the gameplay on that one. I'm sure that I put it somewhere in this video, and of course I will link it down below. But this one is coming out in 2017 with no actual definitive release date as far as I could gather. Of course, if I am wrong on that, I will put it somewhere right here. But Scalebound looks to be pretty interesting, especially if you're into games like Final Fantasy 15 or Final Fantasy 7 or any of these JRPGs in general. Then we saw Sea of Thieves, which is coming to us from the guys over at Rare, and it's pretty much where you embark on fantastic adventures exploring rich worlds in search of hidden treasure with limitless experiences, and this one is included with that Xbox Play Anywhere program. So if you have it on Xbox, you can play it on Windows 10, and your achievements and your saves do carry over between the two different versions of the game, so that is certainly something that is good to see with this kind of gameplay. It looks like the game does a good job of combining exploration and adventure and trying to find that gold and just kind of exploring the world with the constant threat of being attacked by both in-game enemies as well as real players that are online playing the game, and I can't wait to see where this one goes. And I have to admit that within the entire Microsoft press conference, this is the one that took me by surprise, and this is the one that I'm actually probably the most most excited about that isn't one of the big AAA titles. So then we saw State of Decay 2, which the first State of Decay was a pretty popular Xbox 360 game, but one thing did cripple the experience, and that is the fact that there was no multiplayer component of the game, there was no co-op, you were pretty much alone in this world, and with a multiplayer kind of component added into the game, it could have definitely been some kind of a competitor to DayZ or, you know, that kind of zombie survival game, and it could definitely have been the console equivalent of DayZ, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. With State of Decay 2, which is coming out in 2017, that does appear to have been fixed. There is a multiplayer component, and they're always going to have a multiplayer component with the guys over at Undead Labs making State of Decay going forward, so we'll have to see how this one goes, but it certainly is shaping up to be an interesting zombies game. To round out the conference, we got to look at Halo Wars 2, which there was a cinematic trailer as well as some gameplay and the announcement of a beta that is now live on the Xbox One. You can go check that out right now. I actually downloaded it to my console, and I'm probably going to be streaming it over on twitch.tv/PrettyChillGuy311 sometime tomorrow in the mid-afternoon region. Definitely looks to be interesting, and if you like that kind of tactical side of Halo, you'll definitely like Halo Wars 2. So now, to round out the conference, they did announce Project Scorpio, which is the successor to the Xbox One, it does appear, and as I said in the other video that I linked earlier in that annotation, all three, the Xbox One, the Xbox One S, and the Project Scorpio, are going to survive simultaneously in the Xbox universe on the market. They're all going to be selling these all at once. Definitely an interesting way to go about it, but that's pretty much what we saw at the Xbox conference for E3 2016. If you enjoyed this video, please drop me a like down below and share so that other people can find the channel and find the rest of my E3 2016 conference, which I have put in a playlist on my main channel page that you can click through, see all of the different conference recaps and all of my coverage of E3 2016 as a whole. But if you are new to the channel, check out some of those other videos. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.